Om Namo Narayanaya. Please repeat after me. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhanaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswati Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpattyadihetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishna Yavayam Namaha. Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara. Harihi Om. Suswagatam. We are studying a very beautiful text, Sadachara. In this text, we have come to this beautiful point where a seeker has to understand where is the knowledge and what is the knowledge. So, these questions are now going to answer in our today's session. Verse number 32. Pramata cha pramanam cha Pramata cha pramanam cha Pramata cha pramanam cha prameyam pramitistatha yasya bhasavabhasante manam jnanaya tasya kim. Together. Pramata cha pramanam cha prameyam pramitistatha yasya bhasavabhasante. There are three things said here. One is called as pramata. Now be clear about this concept of Vedanta. Pramata is one who is a knower. Who is a knower? Who wants to know is a knower. Pramanam, by which the knowledge will happen. Is this clear? Pramanam, that is a means. Then there is called as prameya, to be known. So what are the three things? Pramata, pramanam, prameyam. Then the fourth thing is pramiti. If these three things are falling in place, then what happens? Then this is called as the knowledge. What is this knowledge? It is an experience in the form of experience, some or other experience. Here it is said, Yasya bhasava bhasante manam jnanaya tasya kim. So one point now. Whenever there is knowledge which we understand as information, suchana. Example, like this is called as page divider. This is called as spectacles. So, what are we telling to the people or anyone who doesn't know? This is this. Got it? This is this. So, you have provided information. What did you provide? Information. Now, this information is captured. Now, this is the analysis. This information is captured like this is a spectacle and it has a form. So, through eyes, this form goes to mind. Through ears, this goes to mind. And now there is a union of the form and the name. If somebody can't hear, will he able to know what the name of this object is? He can know the object. Oh, this is this, something like this, but this will not know. This is a spectacle. So both the organs of perception should actively work. Clear? Yes. So, pramata. Here, I am a pramata. Got it? One who wants to know what is this. So, pramata. Then, pramanam. Pramanam kya hai? 1 and 2. What are these? Means of knowledge, through which the knowledge is happening. Is this clear? Through which the knowledge is happening. Prameyam, what do you have to know? What is this? So is this clear? So, when this is there to be known, when the instrument which is a means to know it is there, and the knower is there, three things are there, then this so-called as spectacle and the name that is spectacle, the form and the name unites, and in the mind the same thought takes a form. And that's how the knowledge happens of anything as an object. Is this clear? No? So, how anywhere the knowledge happens is because of three things. Now, if one thing is absent, this is absent, then knowledge cannot happen. If this and this is absent, then the knowledge cannot happen. This is there, this is there. The person is deep sleep or dead, then is this clear? How knowledge happens? So, it requires three important things. Just to make more clarity. If the mind is disturbed and you are listening, then then the bouncer, question answer of mindfulness camp. Bouncer. I was surprised कि how could you cannot say anything. इतने सिंपल प्रश्न थे. क्या है साधन चतुष्ट है, क्या है ये वैराग्य, क्या है विवेक. एक okay, so one has to understand the mind has to be very sharp. नहीं तो सुनते हैं बट वो रहता नहीं. Clarity of reproducing or reproduction of what I have heard, this requires a good reflection. If the reflection is weak, it doesn't sink in your mind. You know, I know I have heard. But when it comes to reproducing that knowledge, it doesn't happen. Why? Because you have not correctly reflected on it and you have not gained it. You have not owned it. So if you are listening to 1 hour, you have to reflect for 5 hours. Then something can happen. Oh, then it comes to me as mine. Because if you listen and if it is not having your own as an essence, then that listening is all waste. So what is required? When you listen, sit quietly and reflect over it and gain the effect, essence of it. So this is a process. That process is must. So that process one must follow as a seeker, Right. So here it is said, now that thought which is taking a form of an object is illumined by whom? So that thought which takes the form is illumined by the consciousness. Therefore, the knowledge happening actually because of the consciousness and not the mind, not the thought, not the information. It is the cause of knowledge is consciousness. Consciousness. Why is it so? Because it is knowledge principle. It is what? It is a knowledge principle. It knows itself and it knows everything around itself. It is self-effulgent. So therefore, one can understand now, even though whatever thought comes to anyone's mind, and if it gets illumined, it is because of the consciousness. So, in the dead person's mind, can there be a illumination of the thought? No. Why? The mind and intellect, which is a media of reflection of that consciousness, is not there. That does not mean consciousness is gone somewhere. That does not mean conscious is not gone somewhere. Why?
It's all belief.
Why? Give me an exact answer. Why? Technical answer. So this is reflection.
Where will it go? There is no place for its movement. It's everywhere.
So technical answer is, it is Sat. Sat is what? Kalatrayepi tishtati. That which remains unchanged in 3 periods of time. That is this consciousness, which is another aspect of that Sat. So Sat and Chit are not two different things. So this is how we should be able to understand. Oh, yes, it is everywhere. It cannot go anywhere because it is a substratum as Sat. What is Sat? Existence. So what is existence? It is an aspect of Atma Tattva. It is not a quality of Atma Tattva. Like the quality of this spectacle is what is quality? What are the qualities? Now color is black. It is something called a spindle in shape, the glasses, and so on. These are called as qualities. Such qualities are not there in Atma Tattva. No quality. So, to understand it, 3 things are explained as an aspect. But it is not different. Sat itself is Chit. Chit itself is Ananda. They are not 3 different things. But to understand what is the nature of Atma Tattva, in particular, these 3 things are put up in the mind of a seeker to make it more clear. Fine? So, example, heat and light is different than the sun? No. Wherever there is a sun, there is a heat and light together. Similarly, can you make, this is light and this is heat. No, this is not possible. Similarly, you cannot say this is Sat and this is Chit. It is one and the same. Okay. So, what is the essence here? That consciousness which illumines that thought. Having known this, then one has to understand the consciousness itself is that substratum which is responsible for any knowledge. Is this clear? Any knowledge happens because of that consciousness. So having understood this, then he says, then jnanasya tasya kim manam. Then what is requirement of that means of knowledge? When after gaining the knowledge, hope it is clear. After gaining the knowledge, then there is no requirement of the means of knowledge. But before you gain the knowledge, it is must. Next. Arthakarat bhavet vritti. Bhavet vritti. Falenartha prakashate. Arthajnanam vijanati. बंद करो. स एवार्थ परस्मृतः. Together. अर्थाकाराद् भवेत् वृत्तिः. Vrittihi. Vrittihi means thought. What is vritti? Thought. So vrittayaha, then thoughts, if it is there. Bhavet artha akaraha. The thought takes the form of artha. Artha here means object. So, as we have seen, every thought takes a form of object. Whatever is object, small, big, whatever it is an object. So it takes a form of that object. Then artha prakashate. Then this is how this object is illumined in your mind. Is this clear? How gets it illumined? It takes a form. This takes a form in your mind. And that's how the object is illumined in the mind of anyone who is a knower. Falena vijanati. It is known by reflected consciousness. Arthajnanam sa eva para artha smritaha. Now, next point is here. Once somebody knows that it is happening, what is happening? The knowledge is happening. Where it is happening? In the mind. So understand, mind here when it is said, it is mind and intellect together as a subtle body. So when subtle body is said and mind and intellect said, where it is distinct, then it is distinctly put there. When it is not distinctly said about the function of the mind or intellect, then what we have to understand? subtle body. Is this clear? What is subtle body? It is both combination of mind and intellect, which is the cause of this gross body. And the causal body is a cause of both the mind and the gross body. Okay, so subtle body. So this is happening in the subtle body. Now it is said here that object which is reflected by, which is illumined by reflected consciousness. What is reflected consciousness?
Reflection of consciousness.
Hmm.
Original consciousness is reflected. Just we see our face in the mirror.
Right.
They reflect
Where it is reflected?
in the mirror, sir.
In the mind. That is called as subtle body. So this concept should glowing in our mind. Subtle body has this special quality. What is a special quality? It can reflect that consciousness and then gives that power to the body. This has a special quality of what? Mind and intellect. This quality is not there with God's body. The gross body cannot reflect it. Why? Because it is not a right reflecting media. Example, the stone cannot reflect the sunlight. Why? It does not have that capacity. But water, yes. Water has that capacity to reflect the sunlight. So this should be known that okay, this is possible, that is not possible. Therefore, the consciousness is reflected in mind and intellect, in the subtle body. And more specific, it is in the intellect. Okay? So that reflected consciousness is illumining this object in the mind. Is this clear? So, from first level, what is understood? That yes, that reflected consciousness which is there in the subtle body is now illumining that object. Example, like if this bulb is there or a tube light is there and we keep this object here as a paperweight, then what we say? This tube light is illumining this object. Now put off the light. Now this object is not illumined. Is it there? It's there. So, even though the object is there, and if the reflected consciousness is not there, then the object cannot be illumined. Okay? Now, next point. So, this we have understood that object is illumined by reflected consciousness. The next question. What is the reflected consciousness? Is it different than the consciousness? So the answer is no, it is not different than the consciousness. It is appearing to be different. What is the point? It is appearing to be different, but it is actually not different. So, he who knows or she who knows that actually the object is finally illumined by the consciousness. Though on the first level it is understood as reflected consciousness. Is this clear? So, That is said as, this is the evam para artha smritaha. That person has understood this supreme knowledge that yes, finally every object is illumined by that the same supreme consciousness.
Om Namo Narayanaya.